An RPG without choices is like a swimming pool without water. Dragon Age The Veilguard is one of the most shallow RPGs I have ever played. In particular, the lack of meaningful player choices and varied dialogue options was the most disappointing thing to me. Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Starfield have more significant choices than The Veilguard, which is incredibly depressing considering how Bioware used to be at the forefront of meaningful player choices. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the choices we make in The Veilguard, which will just expose how little your decisions actually matter in this game. So without further ado, let's buckle up, grab some iced coffee, and dive into the video. So let's get things started with the Weishaupt mission and how Rook deals with the obstinate First Warden. As Gilneain's archdemon wreaks havoc on the Warden's stronghold, Rook has to confront the First Warden and somehow rally the rest of the Wardens to fight back. At this point, you can either attempt to convince the First Warden of the real threat of the Blight, or simply knock him out. This decision is framed as a really big choice, even to the point of saying, you have made a sworn enemy of the First Warden if you decide to punch him. Oh wow, that sounds really bad, eh? But let's take a look at what actually happens. If you knock out the First Warden, Rook leads a rally against the Archdemon with Evka's blessing. Evka essentially takes over control of the Wardens, but when the Archdemon is defeated, the First Warden comes out to slay the dragon, only to get ganked by Gilneain. On the other hand, if you attempt to convince the First Warden, he comes to see reason and gives Rook his blessing to lead the assault. Once Rook and crew defeat the Archdemon, the First Warden offers to sacrifice himself to slay it, only to get ganked by Gilneain. So yeah, regardless of your choice, bro is cooked. This video is sponsored by Delete Me. Have you ever tried Googling your own name? You might be surprised to find that your address and phone number might be found with a quick Google search. Data brokers collect and sell your personal information, which makes it easy for identity thieves and other bad actors to take advantage of you. But Delete Me can help protect you online by getting this data removed. I started using Delete Me almost 3 years ago when my YouTube channel started growing because I didn't want some random person being able to just Google my address and phone number and come confront me directly about how much they hated my Final Fantasy VII review. And since 2021, Delete Me has removed hundreds of pieces of my personal information from dozens of data brokers, keeping my info safe and secure. And right now, my viewers can get a big discount. Click on my link in the description and get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/BigDan and use promo code BigDan at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/BigDan, code BigDan. But this is not the end for the First Warden, as he will make one more appearance during Davrin's companion quest. When you track down the Gloomhowler, we'll find the First Warden twisted and corrupted by her, and depending on your choice at Weishaupt, the cutscene is slightly different.
You're the last hope for them. Search around. There's a feather from her own griffin long ago. I've seen her look at it with what passes for emotion. It might jog something. Give me some peace. That's an order, Warden.
Yes, sir.
Nothing will stop me. We'll defend Weishaupt to the death.
Weishaupt? You mean this place?
It stood for centuries. None will breach its defenses.
I don't know what Asaya's done to you, but snap out of it, quick.
Send reinforcements to the north wall. Rally on my signal.
What are you talking about?
The Griffins will repel these invaders.
Where are they? What did she do with them?
Stop questioning my orders, Warden. 50 lashes for insubordination.
He's just like the others. He's too far gone.
What do we do?
Set him free.
So yeah, either way, the First Warden gets killed by Davrin here, and this subtle difference in his demeanor makes only a minor difference in the end of Davrin's quest. If you get the feather from the First Warden, you can talk the Gloomhowler down, otherwise Davrin kills her in a cutscene. But at the end of the day, all the variations here are superficial because the core details of both these missions remain exactly the same. Regardless of which option you choose, the Weishaupt mission ends the same way, and Davrin's quest ends the same way as well. These facts all remain the same. The Archdemon is slain, the First Warden is killed by Gillenane and then corrupted by the Gloomhowler, Davrin puts the First Warden out of his misery, Asan and the Griffins are rescued from the Gloomhowler. This is what I mean by the illusion of choice. Dragon Age The Veilguard gives you superficial choices at many points in this game, but these choices make basically zero impact on the story. But you know what choice matters? Subscribing to Big Dan Gaming. You can help me reach 200,000 subscribers by the end of the year by clicking that subscribe button right now. And in return, I'll deliver top-notch RPG content for you to enjoy. But anyhow, moving on from my shameless plug, let's compare the Veilguard's first Warden choice to the Templar and Mage conflict in Dragon Age Inquisition. Early in the main story, the Inquisitor will have to decide whether to ally with the Templars or Mages in order to seal the breach in the sky. This choice has significant consequences for the rest of the story. For starters, you will embark on a completely different main story mission depending on who you ally with. Siding with Dorian and the Mages will put you on a time-traveling adventure against Magister Alexius, while siding with the Templars will see you purging a stronghold infested with Red Templars. Whichever faction you didn't recruit will end up allying with Corypheus, which also impacts other missions you will play for the rest of the game. If you side with the Mages, then the Red Templar Samson will become Corypheus's vessel. Cullen will give us a quest to find a weakness in Samson's red lyrium-infused armor. We will confront Samson near the end of the game, but there is no way to talk him down, and this always ends in a boss battle. On the other hand, if you sided with the Templars, then Calpurnia will become Corypheus's vessel. During a side quest we receive from Liliana, we can uncover Corypheus's true plans for her, as well as get a lot more background lore on Corypheus through a series of audio logs. When we eventually confront Calpurnia, we can convince her to betray and abandon Corypheus using the information we obtained during Liliana's mission, or we can just choose to kill her instead. Also, if we sided with the Mages, First Enchanter Fiona will join us at Skyhold, and if our imported world state has Alistair as a Grey Warden, then Fiona will have some unique dialogue about him, because as it turns out, Fiona is Alistair's biological mother. Check out my video on the subject if you want to learn more. The only choice in Veilguard that comes even close to this is whether you decide to save Treviso or Minrathous. Saving Minrathous will cause Treviso to become blighted, tanking your reputation with the Antivan Crows, and changing some of the side quests you'll do in the city afterwards. Lucanus will also become hardened, which will cause him to stop using healing spells in combat and impact his companion quest ending. On the other hand, if you save Treviso, then Minrathous gets overtaken by the Venatori, which tanks your reputation with the Shadow Dragons. Nev will become hardened, which has a similar outcome to Lucanus. But other than this singular choice, literally no other choice in the main story makes any difference in the story at all. There are no branching paths, and the companion missions aren't much better. Most companion missions have a big choice that you make at the end, but again, the results of these are superficial, with the exception of Emmerich. At the end of Harding's quest, you'll decide whether to have her harness the Redditor rage of the Titans or her inner compassion. The only difference this really makes is what armor set you get as a reward and her passive ability. You'll get a little bit of unique dialogue in each ending, but other than that, nothing really changes. Every companion quest in this game follows the same blueprint. One ending choice gives you a different armor set and passive ability to the other one. So a lot of players are just going to make a choice based on which cosmetic reward looks cooler. It's literally a superficial choice. You could make the same argument that some of these choices have lore implications for future Dragon Age games, but we don't actually see or feel the consequences of these choices within the game itself, other than maybe a throwaway cutscene or line of dialogue. Let's compare this with Iron Bull's mission in Dragon Age Inquisition. At the end of the quest, you have to decide whether to save Bull's Chargers or sacrifice them to protect the Kunari Dreadnought. Saving the Chargers makes Iron Bull a Talvashoth, essentially excommunicating him from the Kun. On the other hand, if we sacrifice the Chargers, Iron Bull stays in the Kunari's good graces, as does the Inquisition. This choice has significant ramifications during the Trespasser DLC. If we saved Bull's Chargers, then Iron Bull will stand by our side when we confront the Vitasala. However, if we sacrifice the Chargers, then Iron Bull will betray us, forcing us to kill him.
Change of plans. Nothing personal. Boss.
Dragon Age The Veilguard copied the format of Mass Effect 2 when it comes to the importance of loyalty missions, but it has none of that edge that we saw on Commander Shepard's journey. In Mass Effect 2, completing your squad mates' missions did not guarantee that you would earn their loyalty. In 4 of the 12 missions, you could potentially fail to gain your companion's allegiance based on the choices you made. These missions were for Tali, Zaid, Thane, and Samara. Zaid and Samara could also die on their loyalty missions, something which isn't even possible in the Veilguard. You could also possibly lose the loyalty of Jack, Miranda, Tali, or Legion if your morality score was too low to resolve their confrontations peacefully. There are 0 stakes to the companion missions in Veilguard. Simply complete them, and your squad mates become heroes of the Veilguard, earning you a unique armor set and passive ability. There is no way to botch these jobs or lose your companion's loyalty through other choices. You're simply running down a checklist. I also find it interesting that you cannot kick any party members out of the Veilguard or skip recruiting them entirely. This is the first Dragon Age game where every companion is mandatory. I made a post on Twitter lamenting on all the things that we could not do in Dragon Age The Veilguard. Go follow me over there, by the way. Because when you really start to inspect under the hood, you'll find that Veilguard isn't really a RPG at all. It's a linear action game with RPG elements sprinkled on in the most superficial way possible. And it's a game that's terrified of doing anything remotely controversial, with the only exception being the final mission. Meanwhile, the game will periodically hit you with these little notifications in certain conversations in an attempt to gaslight you into thinking your choices actually matter. Let's take some of the choices from the first mission. When Varric is about to confront Solus, you can either encourage him or tell him that we came here to attack him. When you have the post-mission convo with Varric, he will remember which dialogue option you chose, but the outcome is identical. Varric always goes to confront Solus, and the outcome of that conversation always ends with him getting ganked. The Veilguard is happy to give the player choices, but only when those choices don't alter the narrative in any way, except a few lines of dialogue. Lately, I've been replaying the Outer Worlds, and it's astonishing how much player agency you have in that game. In the first planet, you have to resolve a conflict between the town of Edgewater and the Deserters camp in order to get a power regulator for your spaceship. You can either side with Edgewater, side with the Deserters, oust the leader of Edgewater, or just kill anyone who stands in your way. There are no essential NPCs in the game. Anyone can be killed, including companions. And if you end up not liking a companion you recruit, you always have the option to tell them to kick rocks if you want to. This is the kind of stuff you'd expect in a proper RPG, but Veilguard is not a proper RPG. It has more in common with linear story-driven JRPGs than classical Western RPGs. The dialogue choices don't offer us a chance at true role-playing either, and we can do nothing but fully support our companions in everything they do. And I think one of the best examples is the end of Davrin's mission.
Come here.
You're welcome, Hassan. Anything for a prince.
So let me get this straight. Your choices here are to hug Hassan or hug Hassan. You've got to be kidding me, man. This is what I mean. Dragon Age is all about the cutesy shit now. The dark fantasy vibes and impactful choices are totally gone. Dragon Age The Veilguard is a sorry excuse for an RPG. It includes the most superficial window dressing of player choice in its gameplay systems, dialogue options, and story. But at the end of the day, it's all an illusion. The only part of the game where your choices really matter is the final mission, where your companions can potentially live or die depending on the decisions you make. But for me, this is simply too little too late. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more Dragon Age and RPG videos. Thanks again, Delete Me, for sponsoring this video. To get your data removed from the internet, check out Delete Me via my link in the description and get 20% off with code BIGDAN. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.